Welcome to this dbWatch webinar, where we will dive into the reporting features in dbWatch Control Center. If you have any questions during this webinar, there is a Q&A section in the Zoom webinar controls, where you can type in questions, and we will have a question section at the end of the webinar, where we'll try to answer any questions that we get. Marek, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, hello to everyone. My name is Marek Jablonski, and I have been working with dbWatch for over 2 decades, mainly with Oracle and Microsoft SQL Server. And today I will share some of that knowledge with you. Per?
Thank you, Marek. My name is Per Kristoffer Undheim. I'm the product manager for dbWatch Control Center, and I also have a background from databases. If you can forward, yes. What we will learn today. Today we will focus on creating new reports, learning how to create a new report, how to extract data from one or more database sources, and also different database platforms, how to visualize this data either in tables or pie charts or different graphs, and also how to use parameters in reports to make them more flexible and interactive. First, we have some attendees that are not familiar with dbWatch Control Center, so we have a quick introduction to that before we continue. dbWatch Control Center is a database operations solution that give you full control of your database instances and allow you to better streamline how you work with database instances. Here we see the graphical interface to dbWatch Control Center. And on the left side of the screen, there's a menu bar that allows you to switch between the different modules of dbWatch Control Center. The first heart icon is the database monitoring module that monitors the status and health of all your database instances. There are many database monitoring jobs to choose from to fit all your monitoring needs. This module also covers the maintenance routines and automation. The second database with cog icon is the management module that allows you to quickly correct any issues found in the monitoring and do day-to-day work on your databases or dive into performance analysis. The third, the tree database icon, is the farm views that allows you insight into key resource or performance statistics across your database instances. In contrast to monitoring that focus on looking at many metrics for one database instance, farm views look at one metric across many database instances. The fourth, the database with play icon, is the SQL worksheet. It is used to run SQL queries on one or more database instances. This is useful for running scripts, extracting information, comparing settings or data from multiple database instances. The fifth binocular icon is the auto discovery. This is used to scan network segments to look for databases not yet added into monitoring. This is most useful for larger organizations where databases can pop up as part of other software installations, or just to make sure that no database instances are missed from your control. The sixth prompt icon is for the FDL console, where you can construct or try out your FDL or farm data language queries. FDL is a data warehouse language capable of extracting data from many sources and constructing data sets that allow greater insight. Finally, the seventh report icon is what we will look today. The icon is in the menu bar is used for running reports, but today we will mainly focus on creating new reports and show you some of the capabilities of this module. And with that said, Marek, can you please help educate our community on dbWatch Control Center?
I'll be happy to do that. Thank you, Per. First of all, dbWatch report engine is mainly designed to extract data from multiple sources, and also from different types of relational databases such as Oracle or Microsoft SQL Server, Postgres, MariaDB, and all the other types of platforms which dbWatch supports. So you can run report against 1, 10, and even hundreds of instances and extract data from it. The report engine will merge the data together and make presentation for you. So how is dbWatch report structured? dbWatch report is structured into chapters, so you have to create a chapter first. And in every chapter, you can create so-called sections. So sections, you can think about sections as building blocks of the report. So let's switch to the monitor and create our first report. So I will go into the monitor. This is the dbWatch monitor. Here is our environment. I will just say a few words about our test environment. I am connected to 4 instances, 2 SQL Server instances. Actually, it's just 1 SQL Server, but I'm connected twice just to simulate 2 instances. And I have 2 Oracle databases, 1 Oracle container database and 1 pluggable databases. So altogether, 4 instances, 2 different platforms. So that's the test environment for today. To create a report, you have to go to the main menu, select Server, then select Reporting, and select the last menu, Create Report Template. And first, when you create a report template, you will have to add a name. So we'll call it Report 02. I already created Report 01. I will show you later how it looks like. So it's like this, and the report editor appears in a different screen, so I will move it here. So this is the report editor. On the left-hand side, you will see an empty tree where we will have chapters and sections. It's empty now, and we have just report name, and below that we have parameters. There's non-parameters yet. And on the right-hand side, you will have some options to configure the front page of the report. You can specify the component name, you can have some description, you can upload some image, and actually you can drop the front page at all if you don't want. There's also a second page which you can hide. Every time when you run the report, you have the front page, and the second page lists all the database instances you are running the report against. And sometimes if you run a report against 100 instances, the list can be very long, and probably the page, second page, third and fourth page could be will just be for the list of the instances. So then you can remove it, but we will keep it. So let's create our first chapter. To create a chapter, you need to right-click on report name like this, add chapter. I will call it chapter 1 like this. Now we have our first chapter. And to create a section inside the chapter, we right-click on the chapter and add section like that. And I will call it section 1. So now we have our report with 1 chapter and 1 section. And as you see, section is composed of query, result set, and presentation. So let's go back to our presentation, and I will explain what it is. So structure of a section. So a section has 3 main components. It has a query, which is a select statement, which you run against the instance. The select statement returns a result set, which will be generated automatically when you execute it. You have to just export it to result set. And then we have a presentation. That's the way you want to present the result set returned from the database instance. And the presentation default is a table, but you can have a graph, or you can have a bar chart, or you can have a pie chart. Few more words about query. As I told you, the query is a select statement which you run against the database, but there could be also a FTL statement. And Per just mentioned a few seconds ago that dbWatch includes its own query language, which we call farm.data language, which is developed by dbWatch, and it's an abstraction layer that works across all SQL dialects. And the reason why I am mentioning FTL is that when you create a section, the default query type is always FTL. So we will switch it back to SQL, but I also would like to show you a couple of basic FTL examples later during this presentation. So let's switch back to our editor and try to define the query and look at the result set and the presentation. So I will switch now back to our editor. Here we have the query, so we are not using the FDL, so I will add a query for Microsoft SQL Server like this, and I will add another one for Oracle because we have two platforms in our instances have two platforms. Okay, and I will remove the FDL like this. Yes. So now I have two queries, one for Oracle, one for SQL Server, and I will copy in statement from another report, so I don't have to type them like this. And I prepare and select statement which returns just one record and 4 columns. And the information I am extracting from each instance is the host name, the host instance is running on, the instance name, the database version, and the current time. So that's statement for SQL Server. And then I have a different statement for Oracle with similar data. So we just copy it from different reports like this and put it here. So once again, this is the host instance is running on, the instance name, version of the database, and current time. So what is very important when you have several queries, it is important that every query returns the same result set. Otherwise, we'll get errors running the section. So we tested by just running against the instances. Here's the list of all the instances we are monitoring. So this is for the SQL Server. So I have to select SQL Server instance, and I can execute it here. So I see the result set is just one record with 4 columns and different data types here, and I can do it the same for Oracle. Then I have to select Oracle database like this, and I will run it. And you see, I get also one record with similar information, but it's the same result set. So now when I'm happy with the result set, I know it's the same for both platforms, I can export it to the result set, because for now there's no definition for result set. So I do it by exporting it. I can go back and forth if I want to change the select statement. I can change it. Maybe I add another column and so on. Then you just export it once again into the query and export it once again, and the result set will be overwritten. So this is the result set. Okay, I'm happy with that. And now I can export it to the presentation like this. And also you can switch back and forth, and the presentation will be overwritten every time you export it to presentation. And by default, it will be a table, but we could also select other forms depending on the data you would like to present. So now we stick to the table, and we have actually defined our first section in the chapter. So we have one chapter, one section, and in this section we have 2 queries, one for Oracle and one for Microsoft SQL Server. So let's test it. You can click on the section and preview section. Now you can select the instance you want to test it. So I select Microsoft SQL Server, click OK. Everything appears on a different screen, so I have to move it here. So here we have results from one of the SQL Server instances. Okay, it works. And let's test it against Oracle. So this is Oracle. Okay, and it looks okay. So now we are ready to run our report for the very first time. So before we can run it, we have to save it. So when we save it, I will apply a file name. So it will be report O2 XML, and the report is in XML format, so it's convenient to use XML extension, but it's up to you, of course. So we save it like this. Okay. So this is our report. So let's go back to monitor. It's there. Okay. And to run the report, you can also go to main menu, server, report, and generate reports, or you use the icon Per was talking about here. So here is where you start the report. First, you have to choose the instance you want to run against. So we will select one of the Microsoft SQL servers. Next, here are the report we created. Next one, next, and finish. And like this. And let's see what we'll get. This is the front page. So you could change the name of the company if you want. If it's empty, then the dbWatch will appear. This is the name of the report, and if you don't upload an image, you will get the dbWatch icon. And the second page will be a list of the database instances, and from the third page, you can see the chapter 1 and the section. So you can remove first and second page if you want, but per default you will have those 2 pages always in the report. So now we see it works fine with SQL Server. So let's test it against Oracle. So I'll do it once again. I will select this time. I will select Oracle instance. Next, select report, and run it once again. And the report will be exactly the same. The only difference is that I receive data from Oracle. So let's now run against both instances and see how it looks like, how report looks like. So once again, report. Actually, I can select all of them like this. Next, select the report, run, and then next, and finish. Yes, here's the report. Now on the second page, we'll have a list of all the instances we're running report against. And if we look at the chapter 1, you will see that we receive 4 different presentations, 1 section, but 4 different presentations. So let's switch into the presentations so I can explain to you how it works, how to merge actually those data. So per default, as you just saw, when you run a section or query against many instances, you will get separate results from each of it. So if you run report against 4 instances, it will produce 4 distinct sections for you. So this is the default behavior. So in our example, it will be much more convenient to merge the data together. And when you merge data together, you have an option to add 2 more columns, virtual columns to the result. The result, remember, we had just 4 columns, but you can add also the name of the instance. So every instance has a name, and also you can add the group name. So you have the possibility to add 2 more columns to the result set. So let's just switch back to the report and see how to run report against many data instances and how to merge the data together. And I'll also will create another example, another section for you. So let's go back to our editor, monitor, and here we have the our report. So to merge it, it's really simple. The only thing you have to do is to select the merge box here. And here, as you can see, you have the possibility to add 2 extra columns to the result set. I will just add 1, the given name, like this, and click Save. And now we can check how it looks by using the preview. Now I will select all of them, run it, and it will look like this. So you will have just 1 result, one table. Okay, so it works quite nice. So let's create another section. This time I have a different SQL select statement. So I will click on chapter 1. I will add section. This time I will call it section 2, like this. Again, the default query type is FDL, so I will change it to normal SQL. I will add one for SQL Server like this, and I will add another one for Oracle like this. And now also you see all the platforms dbWatch is supporting, and I will remove the FDL like this one. Okay, so now I am ready to define queries for both platforms. And again, I will copy them from another report. So for SQL Server, I have this query, which returns total size of all data files and transaction log files. So I'm extracting the information from master database from sysalt files. So I will get the number of the gigabyte, how much space all those files are using on the operating system level. And for Oracle, I have a different query, which returns similar data. This time I am selecting from dynamic performance view $v data file, and I am extracting the column bytes, and in gigabytes, and just how much space all those files are using. So it's kind of similar queries. Now I will test them and see what I get. Oracle, I have to run against Oracle. So let's run it. Okay, this database is 2.7 gigabyte big, and we will check the other select statement. We have to switch to SQL Server, otherwise we just get an error message. Okay, I will run it like that. 1.6. Okay, so now we see that we are getting exactly the same result sets, so that's good. Both SQL statements, select statements have returned the same result set. One record, one column. So I am happy with that. So I exported the result set. So now you see result set, and I will then export it to presentation like this. Yes. And now I would like to check, create a pie chart. For now, I have just one column, so it's not quite ready to define the pie chart, and because I have to merge this this section. So I check merge, and also I will add the given name. I could also add both. I need just one. Okay, so it's like this, and I'll go back to presentation, and now you see that the result set is composed of 3 columns, 2 virtual columns, which are added because I am merging the data together, and the size gigabyte is from the select statement. So I will use the given name as labels, and I will plot size, of course. So like this, I will save it. Okay, and I can also test it. Actually, you can test the whole chapter. So you can click here, right click, and preview chapter. Now I will select all 4 instances like this. And let's see how it looks like. It looks okay. Okay, so now we are ready to run the report once again. So let's go back to the monitor. We click on the report icon. We select all the instances. Next, here's our report. Next, next, and finish. And here's the report. The same front page, the list of all instances. And now we have chapter 1 with section 1, information about instances, and here's the size of all instances. So let's go back to our presentation once again. And yes, few words about text. I'm not going to present how to add text, but just want to mention that there's chapter level text and section level text. So you can add text for chapter. It will appear before all sections within the chapter. And you have also section level text, which per default will be also on top of the presentation. But for bar charts, pie charts, you can put them actually around the graph, so it can be on top, on bottom, left, or right. So that's text. And now I would like to tell you a little bit about parameters. So parameters, they add a lot of flexibility to a report. Instead of having static report, you have some parameters, and so you can change what kind of data you can extract from the database. And the parameters can be used inside the text. So let's say if you have a parameter company name, you could put this name dynamically inside the text if you want. But the most important thing is that you can use those parameters inside a query, both SQL and FTL, and manipulate how it behaves. So let's switch into the editor once again and see how it works. But this time, instead of using the same report, I would like to switch to a different report, the report 01, which I created yesterday. So I will continue there, and I will provide a good example of using parameters in the report. So I will move a different report here like this. This is report 01. And you probably remember section 1 we already created here. I added some text. The result was a table, of course, merged, and also we had a pie chart here in section 2. So that's what we created in report 02. But in section 3, I selected a different query, which will where we will use parameters. So I prepared select statements which shows you information about sessions connected to the instance. So this is a statement for Microsoft SQL Server, where I am extracting some information from the dynamic view DM exec session. I am extracting the login name, the host they are connected from, the program they are running when connecting to the instance, and the login time. So that's for Microsoft SQL Server. For Oracle, there's a similar select statement. I'm selecting from the dynamic performance view $$ session, and similar information. This time it's a username, machine is a host they are connected from, the program then they are using, and of course the logon time. So this is the selects for both platforms. And to control the number of records, I am using the fetch first rows only for Oracle, and for SQL Server there's a different syntax using the top operator here. And as you see here, I put it value 5 for both of them, 5 records for SQL Server and 5 records for Oracle, and I can test those statements like this. I have to first select correct platform, Oracle, okay, and I get 5 records, and I can run this statement for SQL Server. Just select SQL Server here, run it, and I get 5 records. And this is the most natural place to put a parameter here. Instead of having value 5, I would love to have a parameter so I can control. So when I run a report, I can specify I want to have 10 records or 2 records or whatever. So here we can put parameters. But before you can put a parameter here, you have to define a parameter. I already did. So this is a parameter. I just called it parameter 1. So it will control the number of records retrieved from each of the instances when we run those different select statements. I will actually change the parameter name because the name is not so good. So I will just change it here. I will put max. This is probably a better name for the parameter, max number of rows. Okay, like this. So this is the parameter name, as you can see. And now I will add this parameter inside those squares. So let's try that. So instead of having select top 5, I will add a parameter. And to add the parameter, we have to just point here, right click, no, left click, click, and here is the parameter. So So if you have many parameters, you will see the list of all parameters here. And there's extra parameter is the name of the schema database. So if you use parameters, you will also you can also add schema name or database name here if you want to use it. Sometimes you extract information from dbWatch tables and then you put the name of the database or schema in front of the table. But we will use just our parameters, so like this. So it will appear like that. And we do it exactly the same for Oracle. Here, instead of using 5, I delete it, point here, right click, max number. So now I have parameters. Now I can test this select statement. So first SQL Server, run it. Then I will be asked for to specify the value for that parameter. I will specify 4. Okay, like this. And I get 4 records, and I do it the same for Oracle. I have to just switch to one of the Oracle instances and run it. Specify once again 4 records and execute. And as you can see, I'm controlling the number of records. So that's one way of using parameters, but you can use your imagination and really use it differently. And also, if we look at the text, here's the text explaining what we see in the table. So we see the top 5 sessions. So here we can also add the parameter. Unfortunately, we cannot right click, so you will have to type it manually. So what you do the double semicolons and then type the name of the parameters and double semicolons once again. This is the way. Actually, you have to put maximum number, max, like this. So this is the name of the parameter. You have to put 2 double semicolons in front and behind the parameter name. So like this, I will click save. Okay. Now we are ready to test and see how it looks like. Okay, so we do the preview section. We select all of the instances. Now we also will be asked to specify the value for the parameters. Default was 2, and we'll specify 4. So I will get 16 records from all of those 4 instances. Okay, and it runs on the side here. I will move it here. So now we see our table. You see the top 4 sessions. So you see this is the parameter value. We just put it in, and here is our table. And as you can see, the records, the dbWatch report engine is extracting the data and sorting them, and then creating the presentation for you here. So you see the data is first from SQL Server, and then it's from Oracle, and then it's from SQL Server again, and it's from Oracle, and so on. So it's sorting data on the dbWatch server side. So it looks like this. Okay, so that's the third section. So we already created section 1, 2, and now 3. And I would like to show you 2 more sections, section 4 and 5, which is very similar to what we have seen in section 2. But in section 2, we use SQL. But I would like to show you how it can be done using FTL. And both queries are identical. The only difference is the presentation. So we use the pie charts as in section 2. And in section 5, I will use bar chart. So let me explain to you. One of the things is, instead of using a lot of different queries, so if you have a complex environment and you want to run something against Oracle and Postgres and Sybase, and you will have to you have to run those different select statements, and you really have to be careful that all of them return the same data set. So with FTL, you don't have to worry about that. You just run the query. That's for Oracle. That's for SQL Server. The FTL engine will translate this strange language into SQL and run those SQL statements for you. So and it's also much more flexible, because you can think about SQL when you extract data from extract from one instance, and also you can calculate things just on one instance. So if you calculate the average value on many values, it's only for one instance. But using FDL, you can do it across all the instances. So it's just much more powerful. I will show it you how it looks like, but from SQL and FDL worksheet. I will just copy it, and I will go back to monitor for a moment, like this. You remember we did have here the FDL worksheet, and I will put this one instead. And you remember here we have SQL worksheet, which you're probably familiar with. There are a lot of products very similar to that. And here is the statement I was using in section 2. So this one is for SQL servers. So I can run it again against all SQL servers like this. And this one is for Oracle. Then I have to select just Oracle and run it for Oracle like this. So when you use SQL, it's just for one instance. So you cannot merge those data together. So if I go to, if I want to, for example, calculate the sum of all the size for all the instances, it's just not possible using SQL, and that's but in using FDL, it's much easier. So disk usage is actually an alias to those statements. So if I do such thing like instance and then disk usage, it will run all those statements for me like this, and I will get all those 4 values at once. I don't have to run it once for Oracle, one for SQL Service, for Sybase, or all the other platforms. It will run it for me automatically. The same values, as you can see, more or less. And if I want to find the average value or count those values, I can do it in FDL. I cannot do it in SQL. So if I use some function like this, and also I will run it out another function round like this, and execute it like that, I will get the total sum. So this is why you can see that the FDL is much more powerful. So you will actually create better reports with FDL. Even SQL is quite good. You can extract a lot of information, and the dbWatch server will merge the data. But with FDL, you can do even more. Actually, much more. Remember, we finished our report 01. Next, and finish. So I will just show you how it looks like. Let me show it. This is our reports. We remember the section 1, section 2, and here's the section 3 with 2 records from each instance. And here you can see output from FDL, exactly the same, and FDL with bar charts. So let's go back to our presentation. And just a few more things I would like to mention for you is the output format. As you remember, we're generating all the reports in PDF format, but you can also generate them in HTML format. You can schedule the report and even send by email. If you want to send the report by email, you will have to enable email extension. And of course, if you want to send it by email, only the PDF format is supported. And the report is in XML format actually. So there's just one. When you create a report, you create one file, and all the information about that report is in only one file. And actually, you can. It's quite easy just to edit directly in a different editor. So you don't have to use our dbWatch editor, report editor, to create reports. If you are really good in this, you go straight into the XML file, and you can create your own report in a different editor. Okay, Per, you can take from here.
Thank you. If you want more information regarding FTL, we have a video called Introduction to FTL available on our YouTube channel. There is also a link here in the presentation. And there is a lot of information about FTL queries, functions, etc. on our wiki documentation page, wiki.dbWatch.com. Next slide, please. So if you have any questions, there is a Q&A section to the webinar controls where you can open it up and ask questions to us that we can answer. If you find dbWatch interesting and you are not currently a customer, you can also register on the portal. There is a QR code to scan here, or you can go to www.dbwatch.com and register for the portal there. You get a 3 months free trial license to dbWatch, so you can try this out and experience how it works for you. We also have a webinar coming up. So the next webinar is on the automated maintenance features for SQL Server. It allows you to automate day-to-day maintenance work and save a lot of time that is usually routine maintenance of your SQL servers. So we have some questions, Marek. If we want to use the presentations that are part of our monitoring job, how do we take that into like a global presentation that you created?
So yes, every job running on the instance has its own report. So let's say if I select one of the jobs, file growth rate, you can run details. That's a local report for each. You have different reports for those different jobs. So you can see there's a bar chart here and a table and even a graph and more tables. So if you want to see how those reports are created, the best way is to right-click on the job and select Edit. Then you will get something similar to a report editor, but it's a job editor. It looks quite similar. You have something tree on the left and some information on the right side. The thing you are interested in is the report part. So this is kind of chapter, and those are sections. So what you can do, you can just look inside those different sections and see what kind of queries you run. The result set will be generated automatically, and see, okay, this is the category chart. That's nice. Data file configuration. Okay, this was a table, and okay, there's another query and presentation. Okay, category chart once again, and so on. So you can edit. Click on edit. The job editor will open, and you can look at the report part of the editor, and you will see the same structure as in global reports. You can also not delete, but you can you can you can show a report. Okay, so you can run it here. So I recommend that you click on those different. First, you can run the reports and see if there's some information you want to extract from those reports. If there's something interesting and you want to add it to your global report, you can click on Edit and look at the report part of in the editor. Okay, some kind.
Great.
Yeah.
If you want to do development yourself on this, are there other examples?
Yeah, actually, if you go to main menu server reporting and click on edit report templates, here you can see this is our report and this is the report I created yesterday. But all the others reports, they are per default, they will be available for all installation or dbWatch installation. So Some of them are quite large. Let's say health check report for SQL Server. If I select this one and click OK, then you can see it's quite complex. Usually you run it against just one instance, otherwise you will have a lot of information. And you can see a lot of chapters, and every chapter has a lot of sections. And so you can take a look at those different presentation and see how we define a lot of charts and all that stuff. So most of those presentations sections are not merged because they're designed to just run against one instance. So this is one of the reports where you have a lot of examples. Another one I would recommend to take a look at is the database operation report, which is written only in FDL. That's for advanced users. We have a lot of parameters here. Also, we have so-called FDL parameters, which are where values are dynamic because you run FDL there. So it's quite complex, and you can see on those different different presentations here. Every presentation we use FDL query, and you can see at the result. So I recommend to take a look at those statements. You can copy those statements and put them into the FDL worksheet and play with it and create your own. So I really recommend to start playing with FDL. It will really add much more flexibility to reporting. Okay, any other questions?
Yeah. So some of the reports you cannot edit. So right-click and edit. So we have a question on that. What do they do if they want to look at how a report is built, if it's not possible to open the editor on that job?
Okay, yes, there's actually two different jobs. When you add monitoring on an instance, you usually have jobs which are written in the native language of the instance. So if you run jobs on SQL Server, they're stored procedure in transact SQL, and those types of jobs you can edit. So, and for Oracle, you have similar. They are written in PL SQL. So you have a schema, and you create a job which is written in that language. So those we call them engine jobs. But also you have a job. There's a job called, for example,
like always on backup alert or something like that.
Yeah, I don't have any.
No always on install.
No always on install. Data. Let me see. I will have it some available. Instance restart alerts. This is it. It looks exactly the same, but this is a JavaScript which is run from dbWatch server. So instead of having a procedure which you execute on the instance you are monitoring, you run JavaScript and you have embedded SQL in there, and you run queries against the instance, retrieve data, you manipulate it, and so on. And for those type of jobs, there's no option of editing yet. It's a You may say it's not a bug, it's just a feature. In future releases of dbWatch, this part will be available, but for now it's not. So there are two kinds of. It's a JavaScript, and the other are stored procedures inside the database. But from the graphic interface, you don't see the difference. The only thing is you see it's not possible to edit.
Yeah. So if they want to edit it, they can just send a mail to support. They'll get the file in XML format, so it's possible to add it and adjust, and then you can upload it into the software. So
exactly.
as in the meantime, while we wait for that audit on those type of jobs.
Contact us on support.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions?
No other questions. If you can advance the slide. So we are at the end of the webinar. If you after this webinar, we will send the presentation, the video here, all the example files. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to us either at sales@dbwatch.com or support@dbwatch.com for anything. Our next topic is the automated maintenance jobs for SQL Server to improve overall health of your SQL Server database and make the life of DBA easier. So I think we're at the end. Thank you all for your time. I hope to see you again at the next webinar. And have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
dbWatch Control Center, redefining database operations. Please visit us at Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or YouTube.